All right, here with Jeffrey Kang. Jeffrey, it doesn't seem long ago. You and I were talking on a range. We've talked like a few times throughout the season, and you were like sneaking into fields. And here we are, fast forward like 5 events, and you're inside the number to get a PGA Tour card headed into the playoffs. What it's so easy, Jeffrey, for all of us on the outside. I was just saying this to Mark as we recorded the first part of the pod. Is like there's guys that are 100th, 115th in the points list and deserve to be there because they're not playing well. And there's guys who are 115th in the points that are really close. Were you really close? Did something click? What was the last 5 weeks like? Or was it something specific that finally like kind of took hold?
Um, I think it was a lot closer than the results probably showed. For me, I feel like this year, um, I didn't have a very good start to the year. I think like it was more of like the mental part of getting into fields late, not knowing if I'm going to get into the event, just being in that alternate list of where I finished last year. So that uncertainty about if I'm going to play or not probably played a big role in the performance aspect of it. And when we spoke last, I think it was in BMW.
Yeah.
I think I was coming off a pretty good finish from Knoxville, but um, not really much to say otherwise with like other results. Like I've missed a bunch of cuts too by like one this year, and just kind of adds to the stresses of like you feel like you're there, but you're not getting the results. So I think probably the last 5 weeks have been a little bit more of just kind of, I guess, building the confidence of seeing some of those results come slowly here and there, and building the positives of like, yeah, like I missed a cut, but like I do feel like my game was in a good spot. Like I do feel like I'm due for a good week. And just people around my team, just having good conversations, like with my caddy, just kind of talking about like what goes on, like what he sees from the outside, stuff like that. So I think there was a lot of building blocks that kind of came into this, but I definitely felt like my game was in a good spot coming into that.
Can you take people back? You and I had a conversation in the Bahamas. So Jeffrey got an exemption into the Bahamas, has conditional status.
Mhm.
That start is so vital, Jeff. Like th- there's there's very few spots in pro golf. I use the Cliff Kresge quote all the time. Like he talks about being in contention at Bay Hill with Tiger, and he's like, of course it was pressure, but it's fun. Most of the pressure you face in your career is like career defining, season defining for sure. Is it like looking obviously where you are now, Jeff? Like that is it didn't work out for you, but if you had like a great week, it changes your career. It's impossible to block that out while playing, right? Like
Right.
there's
Yeah.
no it's human nature to go like, man, I make this cut and finish T25. I have the rest of the season. I don't have to worry about it for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Especially a guy like my position where I wasn't gonna get into that event with my number, and being the first event of the year or the second or third event of the year, and you have the thought of like the reshuffle being so important, getting any kind of points being so important, as like I said, like it's takes that like your mindset of like, am I gonna get into the event? Am I prepping for something that I'm actually gonna play in? And that kind of shifts, I think, once you know that you're gonna have a full schedule for the year. So yeah, like the early start of the year when I got the sponsors invite, like I didn't play great on it, but those are huge to get spots into the field to play early on in the season, to just kind of build your whole year. So yeah, it's really important.
So now you're here, Jeff. I guess my question is, how, I assume it's relatively easy to relax now. Like you have a place to play next year. At worst case scenario, you can miss every cut for the rest of the year. Uh, like, do you have to sit down and consciously think like, hey, I gotta like lock in here. I'm now right. I gotta play well because I'm. He's 16th. There's top 20 numbers. Or do you try to stay loose? Like hey, like this is all gravy from here. If I get my what I wanted to do, but 6 weeks ago, I was worried about keeping my Korn Ferry card.
Um, yeah, I haven't really thought too much about it. I think if I looked at it like after the year ended, and I'd be pretty happy either way of like thinking of like, oh, I have a place to play next year. I have full schedule. I don't need to worry about anything. Like how I went into it this year was a lot more like, oh, I don't know. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, so I think I would think about that a lot more at the end of the year. But like at this point, I think like your goals change all the time throughout the year.
Mhm.
Just I'm just in a very unique spot where I'm like I have a very great opportunity to get a PGA Tour card. So I don't think I've really relaxed mentally. Yeah, it's just great to have great finishes and be in this kind of locked position for next year and to just have a place to play. But I've always had the goal of playing on the PGA Tour. I've always had the goal of competing on the PGA Tour. So I think once you start clearing one goal, it goes to the next and it goes to the next. So I think in my perspective, it's a little bit like I'm not really relaxed yet. I am very glad that like I'm seeing results. But yeah, like season's not done yet, so like I don't think I've fully gone there where I'm like, all right, like yeah, I'm okay. Like I'm comfortable. So yeah.
If it, Jeff, so like when you, I mean, I just know enough about pro golf that like when you're around a number at a Monday or you're around in a season long and you're like trying to keep your full card, you know where everybody else around you is and what you have to do. Is that the same thing you have to do when you're trying to lock up your PGA Tour card? Is it something you are going to start the playoffs in? If like, let's say par five closing hole, like, would you think even shot by shot, like, hey, normally I try to make eagle here, but I know the guy in 18th and 20th hasn't played well, and one stroke is going to help me significantly. Do you think about that the first event? Does it maybe increase as each event goes, or have you even thought about, or don't you change it all?
Uh, um, I think it's like trying to win a tournament. Like even like I think like Monday qualifiers have been great for me because they're just 1 day tournaments and yeah, like your mentality is kind of like leave everything out there. Like you're not going to play scared. You're being aggressive, um, being smart and aggressive, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like my tournaments, the way I play golf, have always been pretty smart about like what I'm trying to do and have a game plan and tends to be a little bit on the aggressive side. But
Mhm.
if you're coming down the last day and you're leading the tournament by four with 2 holes to play or 3 holes to play, like I think it's just human nature and it's a smart thing to do to make sure like yeah, like I if I don't make the mistakes, then I don't need to take the risks to have everybody else come back and have a chance. So I
Mhm.
think your game plans definitely change, but in terms of like tournaments and the playoff picture of like what my tour card positions might be coming down the road, like I think that's just so situational of like I think we'll know like pretty clearly like the fourth day, like coming in, like back nine, like, oh, like this guy hasn't done well. I just need to
Yeah.
finish where and I think it comes down to like that kind of position of like, yeah, like I'd love to win a tournament, but the goal is to get top 20 and get your PGA Tour card and that week might be like finishing 20th, like 15th,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and I think depending on where I'm at, I would definitely play to that. But I don't think I want to go into the mentality of like, let's keep in track of who's around me and let's
Right.
try to beat him this week or that guy this week. I think it's just still the same thing of playing golf tournaments, playing with a plan and trying to execute the best you can. And if it comes down to Sunday and you're in that position to be able to make adjustments, either way, like you can be really far back and you need to make a
Yeah.
push, or you can be really far ahead and you don't need to take so many risks. I think it just comes very situational at that point. So I'm not trying to change too much to it, I think, going into those tournaments.
We were just talking before we started recording. 3 weeks off before the uh the playoffs, which is wild. Never, there's very rarely on a golf tour you have 3 weeks off. The Korn Ferry has 2 in a year,
Yeah.
but obviously you're playing well right now, so I would assume you would like to play next week or maybe a week off and play. So how do you maintain what you have going well, Jeff, without being on the course? Is that less practice, more practice? How does, or do you just figure that out as you go, depending on the ebbs and flows of your game over the next 3 weeks?
Um, I think, I mean, the 6 weeks for us for me, it was pretty tiring. I know some guys took some weeks off here and there, and I was in that kind of position where like I couldn't really afford to take
Mm.
weeks off. And I felt really good about the game to feel like I can keep kind of going and try to make something happen and have some results. And luckily it happened. But um, like physically right now and mentally, like I am a little drained. So I
Mhm.
think it's part of the game to take a break, let your mind rest a little bit, reset. But you also don't want to like fully let it go and just start over for the most important part of really the season. So I just kind of have a plan of taking a little bit time off, but I think I do also feel like that I need to improve on things, even if I did play well. I always have some idea of like what I need to do better. So that's kind of the next step in this break, I think, is to kind of work on those things, get myself feeling like those areas I need to improve are ready when I get to those tournaments. So yeah, it's just like a good balance, I guess, of trying to get the relaxed reset going and not too far to where it's like I fully let it go kind of thing. So I think this will be kind of good for me. But yeah, like 3 weeks is a very, very long break. And could be good and bad for a lot of guys, and hopefully it's not going to be the bad one for me, and it's a good boost.
Right. Last question. Jeff just got home and he probably wants to go to sleep. Uh, I put out a tweet yesterday. Uh, Dunning sponsors Jeffrey and is on fire. They're a pretty small company. They don't sponsor many players. Russell Henley in the Tour Championship on the Ryder
Yeah.
Cup team. Michael Kim only missed by one, had a great season. Michael Brennan just won on the Americas Tour.
Yeah.
And you finished second. It's probably the close, Jeff. I think it might
I
be the close.
it's definitely the close. They're engineered for the players,
Yeah.
so it's definitely helping the performance. And they're such a great team. Everybody at Dunning, Mike, and Marie, they're just awesome. I think they're very open with the players of what we want in our looks, apparel, and our performance, how it feels, and like you've seen, like we've seen so many different weather conditions. We get
Yeah.
cold, hot, humid, dry, and you need something that helps you in all of those conditions. And I think Dunning's been very open and helpful in kind of communicating, and I think it shows with players enjoying wearing the clothes and playing well. So
Amen.
they're great.
Jeff, thanks as always for the time. Jeff is always one of the players that I talk to at every event I'm at, always willing to answer questions. And for instance, at Bahamas, it's not easy to talk about. He already knows the pressure's there. And then I come up the day before the event and ask him about the pressure. So uh, I appreciate all those times. I'm happy to see you playing well. And after this 3 week break, you might as well go get your PGA Tour card.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you coming out and reaching out and talking and letting the people know what we go through every week. So it's awesome to hear, and I'm glad to be able to do this with you.
Thanks so much, dude.